Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. I'm Kat and this is Catadactyl. So today I'm going to talk about a book that I recently read. And do you ever have those days where you just don't feel like reading anything from your TBR? You just need something you know that you're gonna love. That's why I read this book, even though it definitely wasn't on my list to read this month, and it is To Kill a Kingdom by Alexandra Christo, and it came out March 6th. So I was highly anticipating this book, but I was planning to read it maybe in April. But work just got really stressful and I just needed something that I knew I could get into, read quickly, and really love and have a good time while reading. So let's get into the story. We follow Princess Lyra, who is an extremely lethal daughter to the Sea Queen. She has 17 hearts in her collection, all from princes that she has killed. So you can take a heart every year, but this year the heart hunting has gone awry, and to punish Lyra, her mother turns her into what she hates the most, which is a human. We also follow Prince Elian, who is an infamous pirate who has basically rejected his father's hopes that he will take over the court duties and rule the most powerful kingdom in all the land, instead favoring to go with his band of merry pirates across the high seas and hunt and kill sirens. That is, until one day when he rescues a drowning woman from the ocean. Dun dun dun. So, I just wanted to talk a bit about how much I loved this book, go through some of the characters and the plot. There shouldn't be too many spoilers in here, and yeah, let's go ahead and get into it. So let's talk about some of the characters. Lyra's mother is the Sea Queen, and she rules the ocean with pretty much an iron fist, destroying or killing or have other people kill whoever gets in her way. And this is one of my slight criticisms of the novel, is that we don't know much about her backstory or why she is the way she is. She just seems to be a pretty dyed-in-the-wool villain. But I really feel like it is this utter command of the villain narrative that allows Lyra to operate somewhere between gray and anti-heroine that I found really compelling. So I really loved Lyra because a lot of time I find in YA or fantasy, female heroines or female main characters aren't allowed to have really dark aspirations, and when we first meet Lyra, her only goal in life is to take all the hearts of the princes and to kill any humans. So she starts out very dark. One of the things that I loved about this book is the way in which we find out about how Lyra is thinking and how kind of her views morph and change as she goes into different environments. And it's not like she changes into a really amazing, oh, everything is sunshine and butterflies. She's really dark all of the time. And it's this kind of gritty character ingrained in her that I really loved about Princess Lyra. So Prince Elian was also a vast improvement on what I thought the prince stereotype would be like. He completely rejects what is expected of him to take over in his father's shoes. He would much rather have his younger sister take over. He doesn't want to stay in their land, even though they are the richest country and everything is glittery and gold. Instead, he goes out on the high seas, and he has people actually not call him by his titles other than captain. Even when the world at large disapproves of his actions and his siren killing, it makes him savor it that much more, and instead he rejects the court and their morality and their idealism, and that kind of makes him the ultimate anti-hero. So a little bit about the secondary characters. I both loved them and found them slightly problematic. So a lot of the characters have really interesting backstories that are alluded to. For instance, one character is his best friend, his bodyguard, and also a possible spy for his father. Another character is an ex-slave who has very violent tendencies, and instead of hearing about their back history and learning more about the individual characters, we are kind of told that about them, and then the allusions lead to certain presumptions. Like, for instance, the one that used to be an ex-slave and had to fight her way out of it, she is just allowed to be super violent, and the prince kind of says, oh, I understand because of her back history. We never learn about that, and she never talks about that. We're just kind of told, and that is a slight criticism I had. I would have really liked the secondary characters to be fleshed out just a little more. But overall, I did think there were some really badass ones, like the ship engineer is also the doctor, and there are a few characters where their size or their smallness is kind of flipped on its head. So a lot of things done with the secondary characters I found quite interesting and I really enjoyed. My battery totally just died, which is why this is now like hours later. Anyway, I'd like to talk a bit about the writing style. So the writing is really lush and evocative, and my favorite thing about it was how dark it got. So there's two things about the way she told the story that really pulled me in. So number one was that she wasn't afraid to write violent scenes. So a lot of times with YA or fantasy, I have problems with the way in which violence or power or displays of physical prowess are portrayed, wherein the main character has like a violent back history or has really violent tendencies, or they killed someone and then they never actually do anything violent during the story. So the reader never really has to come to terms with any of the main character's actions, while also having the benefit of being like, oh, but they are extremely dangerous because I've been told they are. Which I think is a problem for me, because just because I'm told that they are doesn't mean they are unless I like see it with my own eyes while I'm reading. So I think that in To Kill a Kingdom, a lot of really dark scenes happen right in front of the reader, and that makes the story more complex because you have to flesh out where you feel a certain character is on the morality scale. And I think it also lends to the story because it creates a cast of great characters. No one gets away with being completely good, and no one gets away with being completely evil, although the Sea Queen is actually like completely evil, as I've already said before. The second thing that I love about the writing style is just the way that she wrote about the worlds. So on land, every kingdom has kind of a specialty. Prince Elian is from a city made of gold and that is glittering. There's another kingdom they go to that has sweets and the air smells like sugar and honey and caramel. And then there's other kingdoms that are made of ice and snow and so on. But as they explore the different cities, you see like the decaying edges on the fringes of society, and you meet people that don't fit the ideal image of what that city is meant to be like. And I thought that was a really great way to describe that although this is a fantasy kingdom and all the kingdoms are different and they all have their strengths, there's also minorities and weaknesses and characters that are darker and more complex. Likewise, the way the Ocean Kingdom was written was amazing. It was so good. The different types of sea animals that we're introduced to, so for instance, Sirens, which Lyra is, as is her mother, or she was before she turned into the Sea Queen. And then there's mermaids, which are actually kind of like anthropomorphic sharks, more so than what we would think of as mermaids. And then there's mermen, which are complete like beasts, but somewhere between mermaids and sirens. And I just loved the like dark kind of animalistic way that they were described. I can't stop saying dark just because that was my favorite element of the entire story, because whenever you get a retelling, there's different ways you can tell it, obviously, and I really liked that it was so gritty. I just thought it was amazing. So when I first finished this book, I was like, oh my god, this is amazing, and I wanted to give it like 4.75 stars, and then as time went on, I still really like it. It's just that I don't think it's 4.75 material exactly, because actually when I was writing up this review, I realized that there are a little bit of problems with some of the character development. So I think I'm gonna give it 4.2, 4.5. It is definitely worth a read if you like fantasy, or if you like retellings, or if you like anything to do with sirens, mermaids, mermen, oceans. Yeah, it was great. So it was the perfect read for me at the perfect time, and I am really glad that I read it, and I can't wait to read more by her. Yeah, so thank you so much for watching this review. Please let me know if you agreed with me about the little bit of character development problems, or if you just completely loved it. I know that I'm hoping that series continue, or like companion novels continue. Like some of the side characters, I would absolutely love to see their stories. Yeah, so thank you so much for watching this video. If you liked it, please give me a thumbs up or hit the subscribe button, and I will talk to you later. Bye! Toodles!